Hello, I'm Diane, your host. Welcome to episode 8 of the Trans-Canadian. In this episode, I'm going to talk about recycling. Now, you're thinking, okay, she's a stand-up comic, so she probably recycles all the time. Well, that's a really nasty thing to think. You should all be ashamed of yourselves, and also you're 100% correct. Recycling makes us feel virtuous. When you toss that milk carton into the blue bin or that cardboard into the black bin, you can feel yourself ascending the slope of moral superiority. You just feel those karma points ticking upwards, and you know that you're a shoo-in for the good place. Well, that's bullshit. Recycling is actually an admission of failure. Let's suppose you want to have sex, but you don't want to have a kid. Well, you might use a condom to prevent conception, add in some spermicidal foam as a backup, and if all else fails, there's always the morning after pill. Well, recycling is kind of like the morning after pill. It's the last resort. It's what you do when everything else has failed. People forget that recycling is just one of the R's in the 3 R's of reduce, reuse, recycle. Our society seems to have a bit of a problem with reduce. For example, I'm filming this video around Halloween, and if you go in the stores, there are plastic skulls, there are plastic zombie babies, plastic zombie couples, animated flying bats. How much of this crap do we really need? Apparently quite a lot, because the stores are just stuffed with these things. And that's just one holiday. Halloween is nothing compared to, say, Christmas. Christmas is where the tchotchke makers bring out the big guns. Candles, wreaths, tinsel, snowmen, stockings. It's unbelievable. Do all the Chinese factory workers think that people that are in the West are insane? I certainly hope so. And if all this crap weren't enough, some evil marketing genius figured out how to sell more. I can just picture the conversation now. Bob, those elves are not moving. Okay, just shelve the idea of the elves for now. Wait a sec. What did you just say? And the rest is history. Elf on a Shelf mania took off. 'Cause it rhymes. But why stop there? Why not a gnome in a dome? A fairy that is hairy? A dog on a log with a frog in a bog and a hog who can jog in the fog? And what about other markets, non-English speaking markets? In France, can you buy a fish in your drink? Oh, I'm sorry. Un poisson dans ta boisson? Oh, okay, let's just digress here for a second. Have you ever gone onto Google Translate, typed in an English sentence, but told Google that it's a different language and get it to read the sentence? It's awesome. For example, here's Google Translate reading in a French accent.
A fish in your drink.
And here's some Swedish.
This is Google Translate reading English with a Swedish accent. A fish in your drink.
Anyway, back on topic. My point is, we need to reduce. Okay, now let's look at the second R, reuse. Our society seems to have a problem with this also. Do you remember when people used to darn socks?
Oh, do you remember those darning eggs we used to use to repair socks? No? You whippersnappers, get off my lawn!
But seriously, even I remember when people used to use old shirts or whatnot as rags. Does anybody do that anymore? I don't think so. The worst offenders are the high-tech companies like Apple, Google, Samsung, and so on. They make cell phones with non-removable batteries. For example, I bought a Motorola G5 a little while ago, and I found a YouTube video with instructions on how to change the battery. You need specialized tools, you need a heat gun to melt the glue, and they recommend having a spare screen because the procedure is very likely to break your screen. I mean, What the fuck? Oh dear. You want to change a light bulb? Oh, I think you should just get a new chandelier. But you know, even then it's gonna be out of warranty. Why don't you just buy a whole new house? It'll be easier. I think it should be illegal to sell a cell phone or any sort of mobile electronic device with a non-removable battery, because all these perfectly good devices end up in landfills, contaminating the earth with dangerous chemicals. Even more perniciously, the high-tech companies try to prevent us from repairing our own stuff. They trot out vague bullshit phrases like protection of intellectual property and prevention of hazardous modifications, so they can continue to treat us like the docile consumer/sheep that we are. John Deere makes farmers sign an agreement that essentially prevents them from hacking the John Deere software and thereby prevents them from being able to repair their own farm equipment. Some farmers have had to resort to downloading hacked firmware from shady sites in the Ukraine just to be able to repair their own American-made equipment. And the farmers are possibly breaking the law by doing this, since the copyright cartel has handsomely paid US politicians to take away consumer rights. Okay, sorry if that one got a bit ranty. Finally, recycling. If you can't reduce or reuse, yes, by all means recycle. But be aware that anywhere from 25 to 40% of what you put in the recycling bin actually ends up in a landfill. It turns out there isn't much of a market for old pizza boxes or broken plastic bottles or weird bits of glass. Color me shocked. So countries and companies that used to buy our recycling are now refusing to take it. That's right, it's refused refuse. Just like the elf on a shelf should be. Hello again, people of YouTube. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Chris March. She's the one who suggested recycling as this episode's title. If you have any suggestions for me, please forward them along. A one-word title just to get my creative juices flowing is always appreciated. As usual, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.